Welcome to the reality revolution. Let me ask you a question. Who are you? No, really, who are you? We have discussed who you are in several recent podcasts. You are power. You are love. You are source. All of it is true. But the key is that you can choose who you are. One of the recurring themes of this podcast is also accepting life as it is. The fundamental problem for all of us is the fact that we identify ourselves with our thoughts, which keeps us from accepting life as it is and seeing reality. We spend a lot of energy trying to separate ourselves from our unpleasant thoughts when we start to understand their power. Essentially, this is what we all do, especially when we experience stress, fear, and carry misplaced anger or worry. Accepting life as it is means seeing reality without the filters of your interpretation, the neutral observer. It gets you a step closer to accepting who you are and choosing who you will become. Accept life as it is means that life isn't something to be grasped or to be gained. It just is. Life is what it is. Means to not add meaning or interpretation to events and experiences. The key to this idea is the fact that you are who you are. If you can accept who you are, if you can accept your feelings and your thoughts and your fears as part of your humanness rather than trying to suppress them, rather than trying to escape from them, you will be empowered to create enormous opportunities. If you have frightening thoughts, don't try to suppress them or bottle them up. Don't try to dismiss them from your mind. Don't try to disown them. Just say, okay, they are a part of me. Let me get to know my thoughts. Let me own these crazy ideas. Let me be with them. And then, when you can own them and acknowledge them and not deny them or rationalize them, you will be able to allow these thoughts to pass instead of feeling like they have a grip on you. These thoughts are not you. You just recognize them. If you can acknowledge them and not add any interpretation to them, you will discover that they will dissipate and slowly erode away. Much of the intensity and distress we all experience comes mostly from the effort to control our worried and fearful thoughts as we become more advanced in monitoring our own thoughts. Our thoughts, all of them, are part of the human condition. It is normal to have the thoughts you do. You may have felt some of them were abnormal, crazy, or weird. All of us have questioned our thoughts. It's when we begin to think something is wrong with us that we create problems for ourselves. When we begin to judge and label our thoughts, we can become overly critical and easily slip into a negative, downward spiral. Some people have done it so often that they fail to recognize when they're doing it. When challenged, they fear losing who they are. They become defensive. They say they are only being honest or pragmatic. They have thought this way for so long that they are convinced it's a normal way of being. What is the significance of frightening thoughts? People, rather than accepting their fears, rather than accepting their bodily responses as just bodily responses resulting from fearful thoughts, put a lot of energy into trying to squelch the frightening thoughts, to hide them and deny them. And because these fearful thoughts are not compatible with the image that they are trying to present of themselves to look good and be nice and be well thought of, what this does is it intensifies the stress. That's why we see people in the news especially all the time, where their accusations are actually admittances They've bottled up some terrible part of themselves, according to themselves. Sometimes it's not so terrible, and they hate themselves so much that they repress it but don't eliminate it, and they're violent on the outside towards the thing that they are. Stay with your thoughts. In this episode, we're going to review many of the themes we've covered. Stay with me, because these themes of what and how we think affects what we do and not do. We become accustomed to hiding our thoughts and acting certain ways to look good to others, which requires a lot of thinking and energy. The fact of the matter is this: you are what you are trying to escape from. Your negative thoughts, which you experience as alien or outlandish thoughts, actually reflect some unresolved issue or unsolved problem. They result from an internal tension or struggle. If you can stay with them, you'll discover new solutions and develop a new perspective about yourself and your life. Instead of separating from your thoughts, recognize them as a source of breakthrough in your thinking, specifically how they run your life. Try to stay with these thoughts, and you will find to what is often the underlying problem you face. Essentially, the mind is continuously generating thoughts. That is its function. And instead of just noticing these thoughts, we center them and change them, or we suppress them rather than just accepting them as a reflection of who we are and part of our various internal processes. Considering how this relates to our social self, or the image we are trying to project out to the world, our false sense of ourselves that seems to govern our lives, is there any relationship between this and our negative thoughts? Does it reflect the social self? The answer to these questions is yes. Much of our behavior is an effort to represent ourselves to the world in terms of an erroneous concept we believe we should have, this social self. Our behavior is designed to cover up negative thoughts and convey to the world that we are someone other than who we think we are. Early in life, we learn to be ashamed and embarrassed by certain thoughts. We have spent and continue to spend a good part of our lives trying to hide these thoughts so no one will know what we are thinking, and therefore not penalize us or condemn or criticize us for having certain thoughts or opinions. The ultimate form of this act is the rationalizations we make, especially in how we try to represent ourselves. Often, we rationalize our actions without even realizing we are doing it. You can sense when someone is trying to put on a front. There's a lack of authenticity about what they are saying. You can tell they are holding back, that something is not quite right. Why do we try to paint ourselves with this perfect brush? We want others to see that we are okay, that everything is okay with us. That is the social self. There is a self, part of you, that is completely concerned about what other people think. You can deny it, but it is always there. And the more we try to get others to believe we are okay and acceptable, the more we're going to generate concerns, which in turn creates fears and anxieties. Here's a simple example. A person who's on a diet says he's really working it and eating less, but what registers on the scale is something different. His concept of himself is not what shows up on the scale. The scale is reality. The scale is real. Objective measurement of how much he weighs, even though he is trying to present himself as something else, something different from reality. A more complex example is the person who tries to make people believe everything is okay in her life, that everything's perfect when in fact something is wrong at home. The evidence shows up in her work or at school, her attitude toward others, and her health, but she continues to present herself as okay so that no one sees it's not okay. A more common example is the person at work who does not know something but pretends to know by making up an answer. She could have said, "I don't know," but she is concerned with maintaining a social image of looking smart in order to be well thought of. We all know people like this. We've all done this. They want to look good and be respected. They try hard to pretend they know something they don't, in order to be someone they aren't. What the person doesn't understand is this: not only is "I don't know" the accurate answer, It also reflects self-confidence and authenticity. It reveals her okayness with who she is. She would have gained a lot of respect for the real answer. I don't know. But now she lost respect because she made something up. They sense the deception. Essentially, she lied. It affects her integrity. They don't know if they can trust her. In the future, they will wonder, is she making this up as well? You may not be who you think you are. As human beings, we all want to look good to the outside world in some form or to some degree because of how we were raised and the process of socialization. We tend to identify with a concept about ourselves that may not be accurate. We believe that this self-concept is who we are. We believe if we act in a certain way, we will be the person others want us to be, and this act will cover up the part of ourselves that we believe others find less desirable. The irony of all this is that none of this may be true. The fact of the matter is, as I stated before, maybe we are not who we think we are. Maybe we are acting to cover up something that is only an illusion. Trying to appear as something we are not causes us to feel inauthentic or like a fraud. The same holds true when someone tries to be something he or she is not. We can sense the inauthenticity. The point is that we cover up something about ourselves or who we think we are because of what someone said about us when we were 8 years old. Try to grasp the importance of this point. People are living their adult lives based on some past notion from childhood. This is incredible. People are using a tremendous amount of energy covering up parts of themselves because of what a teacher or another child said when they were 8. In reality, they may not be what they were told they were, and because of the amount of energy and stress involved in trying to cover it up and be something else, they are not as fully engaged in the world as they could be. This gets back to the notion of having a vision of who we can be. Because maybe all we are is potential, and we only tap that potential through a vision we create for ourselves within our mind, through our imaginations. Putting on the facade of a social self implies a negative view of oneself. This means that people with fear, anxiety, or self-doubt oftentimes define themselves in terms of their negative thoughts. Be careful about living from a fear-based self-concept. The person living a life based on fear and self-doubt may have a self-concept that causes him to see himself totally in terms of negative thoughts. It is important to recognize that we can all slip into defining ourselves through negative attributes. This is why we are reluctant to let go of a negative attribute or a fear or worry-based condition that has become a part of us. The person we believe ourselves to be. Someone that says, I have anxiety. And since we think of ourselves as this person who has these negative attributes, which are in fact only thoughts, we are reluctant to part with these thoughts because who will we be then? It's as if we believe it is important to acknowledge these negative thoughts and to live in the world as if the negative thoughts were accurate or even noble, and to be in the world in terms of this negative perspective and struggle through life with a negative perspective is the cross we must carry, and it is wrong to relinquish these attributes. This is a good place to remember, especially if you see yourself doing this, that these attributes and negative perspectives are only thoughts, which in fact we made up, an illusion that bolsters and supports a negative image. The sad thing is we do not realize we are supporting our own negative thoughts with illusions and stories that have become a false negative image of ourselves, which we are afraid to relinquish. If you can understand this pattern of thinking and understand how it can control who you think you are, you can begin to shift your perspective by looking at your current thoughts, by asking the questions, is this really me? And is this who I want to be? This concept of who we think we are is a process. It is learned ideas and behaviors which have become a mask and a form of act. This is not to demean someone's suffering or fearful thoughts, self-doubts, or anxieties. Yes, you may be suffering. However, when you recognize doubt, fear, and negative thoughts are learned, you realize you can also unlearn them. I'm not referring to someone who suffers extreme aspects of these types of conditions. I'm referring to those of us who memorialize our past and our suffering that has become a part of us, but doesn't have to be a part of us any longer. There is a hesitation in all of us to step out and take a risk because of some notion or idea planted in our mind when we were 5 or 6 or 7 years old. This keeps us locked into an old pattern of behavior that we have been carrying out for the past 20, 30, 40, or 50 years. Do you want to continue living the illusion of ideas someone else planted in your mind as a child that has caused you to suffer, or at a minimum, kept you from being all that you can be and choosing who you are? This learned way of thinking resulted in behavior that may be affecting you, keeping you from stepping out, from putting yourself out on the edge, trying new things, becoming everything you were meant to be. It is something that impacts you, and you may not realize how it has impacted you because you have lived with it so long that it has become a seemingly normal way of living. You think you are someone who cannot be or have something, or you have to be a certain way because of something someone told you about yourself, which was not true. Or even if it was true at the time, it may no longer be true. And if it is true, so what? So to repeat the question, do you want to continue living the illusion of ideas someone else planted in your mind as a child of 6 that has caused you to suffer or hold back as you have for some 20, 30, 40, or 50 years? Think about the question this way. If you are in your 30s, do you want to continue to suffer because of what someone said to you when you were 6 years old for another 30 years? The answer has to be no. Even for the next 30 minutes, the answer has to be no. You choose who you are and what you do. You are not defined by what someone thinks about you, nor are you what someone said you were. Understanding this point is critical to changing your life. You may not be who you think you are, nor are you what someone said you were. Once you begin identifying the labels, you can start shredding them. These labels are thoughts. More importantly, they are illusions, because labels are not facts. The reality is you are not your thoughts. You are not who your thoughts define you as or say you are, despite of the fact you function in the world as if it were so. And because you function in the world or act a certain way because of a thought or an idea you learned long ago. What I am saying is that you can function in the world in terms of a new thought, an idea of your choosing. This means you can begin to reinvent yourself in the next moment, not sometime in the future. You can develop a new set of concepts about yourself now. You can create these concepts through the stand of your vision. By acting in the present moment consistent with your new vision, irrespective of what your previous thoughts were, you can transform yourself. We started this chapter stating accept life as it is. The key point is the it is portion of the statement. This it is reality. The it is, or reality, is what we so often fail to see because we are operating through a belief system that places a set of lenses over our eyes through which we see the world. This set of lenses filter out those things that we do not understand and those things that do not fit our belief system. The lenses distort reality to fit our belief system. We see an event or hear someone's comments in such a manner that allows us to see and hear only what we expect. This is a powerful system that few people consider or understand. It causes people to be biased, unhappy, and rigid. It can, if not checked, create a limited worldview. Most important and most unfortunate is that it keeps people locked into their beliefs about their limitations. In fact, this system of beliefs is so powerful that we will defend it to the point of arguing, fighting, and even going to war. Given the fact that you are operating through your belief system, we could say that who you are and how you are behaving in the world is based on an illusion you formed in the past. What you see happening is seen through your system of beliefs. The lens through which you see the world that may or may not be accurate or true. This is the illusion. The lens acts like a filter by screening out things that do not match your current view of the world, only allowing in what you believe to be true, even though the information may be false. If you're not careful, you screen out reality, which means you screen out possibility and opportunity, the keys to being free. Knowing that you have this filter and are not seeing reality is essential to understanding how much power you have to invent yourself simply by changing your filter. The lens through which you see the world, simply by adjusting your thoughts and beliefs. Think about it this way. What if your filter did not cause you to see the world through your limitations? What if you did not see the world through a lens of self-doubt or fear? Instead, what if your filter presented the world to you only the things that empowered you and gave you confidence? What if your filter presented to you only those things that supported the belief, I can become anything I want to be? Do you think this would change how you function in the world? Sages from the beginning of time have passed this idea down for generations. We become what we think about. Earl Nightingale called this the strangest secret. Be sure to check out my episode where I read The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. If you change your filter, your thoughts and beliefs, you change the world. Change your filter, and you change who you are in your world. Think about professional athletes in any sport. You think they see themselves as poor performers or incompetent? Do you think they go into a game or an event thinking about how poorly they will perform? Of course they don't. Nor does anyone else who has talent take the time to examine your lenses. What have you decided to be true for you? Are you getting what you want? The bundle of beliefs you formed make up your self-concept, who you think you are. Your beliefs act as a set of lenses through which you see the world and filters information based on your beliefs. The set of lenses and filtering process is based on your self-concept. Your self-concept, what you think about yourself, and who believe yourself to be, directs your thoughts and behaviors. It plays a key role in how you function in the world. The key to unlocking who you can become is questioning the choice of beliefs you have accepted as true now in this present moment. Your beliefs may be based on false information, creating an illusion that you cannot do something, be something, become something. If you can grasp the concept of having a set of lenses that only display your limitations, this could be what is holding you back. However, realize this: you have the power for making enormous changes in your life because you can replace these lenses anytime you choose. Your vision can become a powerful filter, giving you what you want. In the same way, your mind was tricked to accept inaccurate beliefs. You can invent new beliefs to trick your mind, to create another illusion, a positive image based on what you want now. Replace the old self-concept formed in the childhood. We spend a lot of time when we talk about Neville Goddard or Joseph Murphy, talking about a single scene that we imagine when we have to battle the muck of all these beliefs that we've experienced in the past. That's why this is important that we address this. This is the power behind the vision. The vision is something you can develop now, in the next moment, and use it to carry you forward into the future. When you create your vision, it changes your set of lenses and makes available possibilities and opportunities that were not available to you before. So ask yourself, what do you want? Do you want to keep seeing the world through the lens you created when you were 8? Or do you want to create the future? Your future has not yet happened. You are not destined to be who you were yesterday. Any notion about your future being something less than what you want is an illusion. But if you keep acting and behaving in the manner of your old self-concept and its bundle of beliefs, you will probably get what you believe. This means you can reinvent your self-concept. Your vision is a concept of what you want. It is a picture, and if you dwell on it long enough, it will act as a set of lenses, causing you to see opportunities aligned with it. This will cause you to behave in a manner aligned with this picture. You get what you expect, and you become what you think about. Change your future. Replace the old pictures with a picture of what you want. The future has not yet happened, and by creating a target for your mind to aim for, you are changing your trajectory from a predetermined target based on an old concept towards this vision of possibilities. Set the vision and allow it to pull you toward it. You no longer have to live from a false identity based on a false premise that came from childhood. Identify it. Make your mind work for you. Your mind is powerful, but you haven't been using it. You've allowed it to use you. Think about who you are and how you wish to be. Ask yourself how you should see the future. Are you seeing the future based on an illusion that is related to a negative way of thinking stemming from the past? Can you see the future based on a positive image of what you want? Can you develop a bundle of new positive thoughts about yourself in support of this image? These questions are central to reinventing yourself. Why do I continue to harp on these points about your thoughts? The reason is, who you are now is not because of some outside mysterious force conspiring against you. You are where you are because of your thinking. You have lived your life based on beliefs that may not be true. The way you have lived with all your fears, doubts, worries, jealousies, angers are all based on an illusion. If you believe you are destined to live in the future based on your illusory past, this is an illusion. I want to empower you to create a new illusion, one you choose. You created in your mind how to be today, based on how you lived, or what happened to you, or what you were told that may be false. If you lived all your life doubting your abilities, you created a way of being based on this doubt. If you lived in fear of ridicule, you created a way of being in the present and future based on the fear you will be ridiculed. The point is, this is an illusion. It is not real. Yes, you may have been fearful in childhood, and when I ask you to show me the fear, you can't. It's in your mind. It is not reality. Most people grasp that the future is an illusion because it hasn't happened yet. But when I say the past is also an illusion, people start to rebel. They say, but this happened to me, and he did that, and they said this. Yes, these did happen, but these are all in the past. They are memory bits in the mind that may be distorted. According to the research, it is believed that strong emotions trigger the formation of strong memories, and weaker emotional experiences form weak memories. This is why the feeling is the secret. The strong emotion is linking the memory, and you remember it more clearly. Scientists call this arousal theory. This is where strong emotional experience triggers the release of neurotransmitters, as well as hormones which strengthen memory. You can find this by an article by Christensen in 1992. It's no surprise that a memory about an emotional event is stronger than memories of a non-emotional event. A flashbulb memory is an exceptionally clear recollection of an important event such as the 9/11 attacks. Most people who were over the age of 7 at the time can recall where they were that day when the planes hit the towers. But even with such an emotional event seared on our brain, we still invent additional memories that didn't occur. For example, 4 months after 9/11, President Bush recalled seeing the plane hit one of the towers. When we walked into the classroom, I had seen this plane fly into the first building. There was a TV set on. However, this did not happen. At the school he was visiting, there were no TVs in this classroom. Most of us remember Andrew Card whispering to the president about what occurred. President Bush created a memory that did not occur. Human memory, even flashbulb memories, can be frail. In fact, memory can be so frail that we can convince a person an event happened to them, even when it did not. This does not say something that did not happen to you. Yes, something happened. But what is in your memory may be keeping you stuck. There is no earthly law that says you aren't allowed to let go of the memories, nor does the past have to equal the future. The past does not have to equal the future. The point is you can invent a new life of your choosing. You can live from your vision now and not wait for the future. This idea of living a new life based on your vision will also be an illusion. But the difference is you created it as an adult, as opposed to some notion you created when you were a child. Would you rather conform to be the person based on something you dreamt up when you were a child? This isn't denial. This is a conscious choice. These concepts are crucial to living the life you want. But most people don't believe that all they need to do is get rid of the illusions that hold them back. They believe the future is predestined. This is why I am driving these concepts home. What you think of the future is in your mind. It has not yet happened. Nothing is predestined, nothing is predetermined, nothing is for sure in your future unless it is in your mind. Another thing people think is if they get rid of the fears and self-doubt first, before they create a vision, they are being more honest, and that they are better off waiting. This is also an illusion. The illusion is thinking at some point in the future you will be better off. When I get my degree, that's when I will start living, or someday I will show them and they'll be sorry. Grasp the illusionary concepts you have that are based on the past, and you can see more clearly that who you think you are has nothing to do with the reality of the present moment. You will also see how the illusions cause you to hesitate and even cause you to stop. At some point, you have to understand that there really is no past. The past is an illusion based on how you interpreted events that are now stored in a memory bit in some part of the brain or in the universal mind that you're accessing, where they have been held for many years and believed to be true and real. It's certainly possible, as we learned from Neville Goddard, that your life started today, that everything that you have is just a memory, is just a program that was uploaded into you, and you think you've lived all this stuff and experienced it, but right now this moment is all that is real. Many people conform to a life based on the approval or acceptance by either their parents, society, their boss, some reference group, or some authority figure. This relates to the belief that if you behave a certain way, you will be accepted and okay. This is an illusory way of being in the world. Rollo May, the distinguished psychiatrist, wrote in his book Man's Search for Himself, which I probably should read sometime on the podcast, the opposite of courage in our society is not cowardice, it is conformity. Emerson said, "Your genuine action will explain itself and will explain your other genuine actions. Your conformity explains nothing. Stop waiting for approval. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting to live. Stop waiting for something in the future to happen. The future will not free you from the past. Be in the now. Choose what you want to have. Stop waiting and start living from your vision in the next moment. This means take action now. Waiting for the future is another excuse. You remain stuck. There is no future to wait for. You may think about the future, but the future has not happened yet. Remember, any image of the future is an illusion since it was conjured up in the mind. It is important to realize your mind will pull whatever image of the future you have toward you, whether it's based on the past or what you want. The mind will present to you, through the filtering process, all the things that relate to any image of the future you have and a roadmap to reach it. But you have to understand, you're already okay. You can change the future by choosing a new image of the future and then recognize that there is only the present, the now in which to live. The next moment provides the opportunity to make changes that free you from the previous moment. The next moment is as close to the future as you will ever get. Nothing happens in the past and nothing happens in the future. The only things that happen are in the now. The now is the moment before you. You cannot rewrite the past. You cannot take action in the past. You can revise the past, but that's essentially affecting your memory and the way you respond to it. It does result in some real changes as if the past is changed, but you can only revise. You can't take action in the future, but you can imagine it, because when the future comes, it is now. You may be waiting for that perfect moment to take action in the future, because tomorrow you'll be okay or better, but there is no perfect future moment to be okay. There's no perfect tomorrow. This is the trap of waiting. In fact, it is really critical to learn this. Don't make where you are going more important than where you are. Having a vision of who you are going to become in the future is of value only in defining what you do in the present, as opposed to allowing the past notions and beliefs to define you. The perfect future moment never comes. Therefore, when we talk about the future, we are not saying that when you get there, you're going to be okay. You already are okay. You are already fine. You are already perfect. And the purpose of having a vision for yourself, the purpose of a future-oriented objective, is really about breaking out of the mold of the past and beginning to function in the moment, right now, in terms of all your okayness. What I am saying is this: you are already whole, and you do not need any improvement. You are okay. Grasp this concept. Live from the concept that you are already whole. You don't have to wait. You are okay now. Stop seeking illusory goals or self-gratification to be okay. Stop seeking things outside yourself to make you okay. In a way, there is no self. And in the same way, yesterday is gone, leaving slight memories of what happened. And there is no future, and that it never comes as we imagined it. There is only the present, and you are okay now. This is a sort of Zen approach about how to live based on having a point of view about life itself and the present moment. It means that there is nothing to seek. There is only a vision of the future. The vision of the future is like a lens, a set of glasses, which provides a perspective from which to access in the present. The vision acts as a guide in the present. The vision acts as a guide to how to behave in the now, helping you navigate toward your destination in the future. What you need to do is find something in the future to seek, and then look to the present from the future. Look to the present through that future vision, and then begin to become what you seek and all you can be by living in the here and now out of that future vision. To put it another way, you're already okay, and you have within you an indwelling Buddha self, an indwelling Jesus self, an indwelling Mohammed self. In Christian terms, the kingdom of heaven is within, and you do not need to seek more to change yourself. You only need to shift your thinking from an illusory past-future orientation with a belief in an illusory past to an orientation defined by a future vision, but live totally in the now. The past does not equal the future, nor the present. Let's review the critical concept of life's principles, especially in terms of how you live your life. It's important to understand life principles as beliefs you learned early in life that became rules that function as part of a governing template for how to live your life. They provide perspective through which you see the world. Life principles can be such things as big boys don't cry, or men should not show their feelings, or women should be good at cooking and cleaning. I should never show any weakness, or don't rely on people, or I have to be perfect. These are concepts, and they're really encompassing notions of attitudes and behaviors that govern people's behavior. They are rules that were passed down to us. We always have ham on Christmas, or we invented based on a previous incident. I will never do that again. These rules do not allow you to live your life to its fullest. If you play by these rules, are you really enjoying the moment? Are you really enjoying a relationship? Are you holding back out of fear of the past? If you feel you are required to adhere to these old rules based on what happened in the past, then you are not likely enjoying life and everything it has to offer. Remember that the past does not equal the future or the present for that matter. Many life principles are based on self-protective ideas that become rather rigorous limitations on our behavior. We are conscious of some and unconscious of others, both of which can limit our ability to function. Resistance begins when people start to see obstacles and when they can't complete what they set out to accomplish. See the resistance as an opportunity to discover more about what is holding you back, what is causing you to second-guess yourself, and what's causing you to slide back into old patterns of thought and behavior. Ask yourself the following questions to discover what's holding you back and to uncover why you are being self-protective. What is it about the way you are functioning or thinking or behaving in the world that is causing you to be so self-protective? What self-protective notions do you have? Are you afraid you'll be found out? Do you have a secret self? What is it about the way you listen to people? Can you stop being so caught up in self-protection to really hear them? What is it about the way you see things that limits you in the opportunities available to you? What are the limitations that you believe you have and keep you from creating opportunities for yourself? How can you be more present to the possibilities the world has to offer? Eliminating an old life principle is not easy. You've lived with it for so long that it seems to be a part of you. When you attempt to control the thoughts and rules associated with life principles, you tend to experience stress, which increases the intensity of these thoughts. This is because these thoughts reflect a larger set of life principles that keep you locked into a vicious cycle of compulsion that causes you to keep trying to fit your life experiences into a predetermined way of being in the world. When you've identified old life principles that are not supporting you in who you wish to be, instead of trying to alter or eliminate them, create a new set of life principles, then begin living from the new set of life principles. For example, you can reinvent yourself by developing a new life principle such as, I make a difference in the world, or I am okay, or the world supports me in getting what I want, or I am an excellent public speaker, or I am a world-class tennis player, and begin living as if this were true and accurate. You should also create sub-statements that support your major life principles and affirm them by saying them aloud and writing them down in a goal book every morning to drive them into your subconscious. You're still going to have fear-provoking experiences that cause panic and anxiety. When this occurs, remember to write them out. You do not need to react to them as if you were going to die in the next moment. Instead, you can experience the frightening thoughts that arise in response to events, not as a reflection of some imperfection, but as a natural flow of events. See your frightening reactive thoughts as a part of the world in which you live. It is what it is. You do not need to give your thoughts or the events you deem frightening any additional meaning, interpretation, or energy. You can change how you see things. You can see the world from the perspective of being okay. You can see the world from the perspective that you are already successful and that everything will work out for you. From these new perspectives, You have no need to cover up or deny your feelings or hide your thoughts for fear that people may discover you are not the person you appear to be. To become who we really are and are meant to become, we can always use the support of others. This is building a structure of support that we discussed earlier. The problem is we are afraid to ask for help. Many people secretly harbor the life principle, I need to do this myself and not ask for support. This tends to be a general rule for almost everyone. Society has built into us determinants of right and wrong, and in this case we must self-sufficient. That is, we must be brave and do everything on our own. This makes us reluctant to ask for support or make requests from others. Another reason we don't ask others for help is that we fear rejection. Watch out for this. This can be something holding you back. We anticipate being told no and see it as a rejection. Of course, no one wants to be told no. But we can shift our perspective. The no doesn't mean you stop trying or quit. You have the power to see the word no as a gift. The universe is telling you, not this person, try the next person. Just keep trying until you get the yes. To make the changes and get what we want, we will have to rely on others who can help us. This gets us to what a lot of people avoid, and that is creating your support network. We often ask the wrong people for help or advice. These people cannot give us what we need. They don't have the tools, experience, expertise, or time. Sometimes we ask for advice when in fact we are only looking for reassurance for what we are about to do. Don't ask someone you know who will always agree with you. Don't ask for advice from someone who doesn't have the experience. Also recognize that some people don't want you to succeed because the idea of your success makes them feel unsuccessful, and they may try to discourage you. Determine the help you need and determine if the people in your circle of friends can help you. Remember to look outside your personal acquaintances to ask for support. Support and help often comes from unexpected people and places. You cannot do everything on your own or without the support of others. Allow people in. Share your vision, but share it for the right reasons. Not to validate yourself, and share it with the right people. People who are authorities in the field in which you operate or areas you are striving to reach. When you share your vision, allow people to help. Listen to their opinions and ideas. Acknowledge their willingness to support you. They may see things about you that you do not see. Listen to their perspective, but also listen for how they may be able to support you in your journey. The point here in your quest and eventual transformation is to recognize the value in the making requests of others. Recognize the value in asking for support without holding back out of concern about their reaction and possible rejection. Moreover, recognize that to some extent you are empowering others through your requests. There is plenty of help out there. This doesn't mean you should turn to everybody. It just means there is value in allowing people in to help and support you. Allow them to be of service. How can we be of service to others if there's no others that want to be served? In effect, what we've been discussing is reframing your experience by letting go of old beliefs and life principles in order to move our lives forward. Old life principles get us locked into a vicious circle where we continue to do things that cause anxiety and keep us from trying new things and choosing what we want and becoming who we were intended to be. When you change old life principles out for new ones and start moving toward your vision, you are in the gap. Check out my episode, Living in the Gap. That place from where you are to where you want to be. When you change out the old principles for new ones and start moving toward your vision, you are in the gap, always. And that space between where you were and where you want to be is always there. There's always this space. This is where you're going to spend most of your time. You're going to be living in between, and it may be uncomfortable. You're going to be in a place where you haven't completely released the old way of being. You haven't let go of the filters and not fully living from the new set of life principles. You are in the gap. The moment you set a goal or a vision, and with each step you take toward the vision, the gap is your arena. The gap is a realm of uncertainty and the unknown. Many of us tend to avoid the gap because it feels uncomfortable. We don't like placing ourselves at risk. Uncertainty has an uneasy feel to it. We want certainty. We want to know everything will work out and that we will be okay. We want to know that it will work before we do anything. We want reassurance. The gap won't give you reassurance, but it will teach you to deal with uncertainty. This space will become your realm. It is where you will live. By making a commitment to change, you become what you want to be. You are stepping out onto the edge of the gap. It's going beyond the comfort zone to discover your talents and gifts. When you commit to a larger vision of something you want to do, you can clearly see the gap between where you are now and where you have committed to being. In this realm of the gap, we don't know how it is going to be. We are not sure if things will work out. We don't know if we will make it across. There is no one to reassure us. It won't be comfortable. We can only do what is in front of us, taking the next right step forward. However, there is comfort in knowing that you are living from the stand of your vision. By making the commitment to your vision, there is a type of comfort that comes from knowing this is where you tap your potential by doing everything possible to make this vision a reality. This is the space that allows you to replace the urge to cover up your weaknesses with being open to tap your potential and discover your hidden talents. This is the space where a certain amount of compassion comes forward. This is where you begin to hear people. This is where you reach out to ask others for support. This is where you continuously ask what's missing so you can build a structure with the outcomes you want to build into it. The gap is the place where you have breakdowns. Breakdowns are the things that do not work out. Breakdowns are the things that are improving, getting better in order to achieve the objective. The gap is the place where you will make breakthroughs. Breakthroughs are the things that do work out as a result of the improvements you're making. It is important to remember that anytime you make a change or do something different, you are living in the gap. The nature of living in the gap, doing things you never did before, means you are living in terms of breakdowns. When you are living to make the commitment to the new, larger vision of what you want, who you want to be, and live in terms of this vision, you are living in a state of breakdown. This is not negative, nor is it bad. The moment you declare, I'm going to become a doctor, or I'm going to quit my job or end this relationship and do something else, I'm going to become fit, you are living in a state of breakdown because you have yet accomplished what you set out to do. To be clear, everything you do to get there will move you closer to the vision, but you are always in breakdown until you get there. This can be scary for most people. In fact, it is what most of us are trying to avoid. No one wants to live in uncertainty. However, you can live with uncertainty by embracing it. You can live with the discomfort by embracing it. I am saying that you can embrace this state of breakdown. You can only learn by being in breakdown. By embracing the breakdown in this way, you can have the breakthrough. The breakdowns lead to the breakthroughs that eventually move you forward toward your vision. By mastering the breakdown, you are developing breakthroughs. By mastering the breakdown, you have begun to tap into your potential, the untapped resources within you that are not yet being utilized. Yes, there will be some anxiety. Yes, there will be scary times, especially if you're prone to being fearful and seeing the downside instead of the upside and the opportunities, especially if you experienced that in your past and your parents taught you to always look for the downside. The bodily reaction, the nervous pit in the stomach, the feeling of uncertainty, taking action, and not seeing immediate results are all part of the process. Allow yourself to experience the distress and experience the discomfort. Utilize the techniques outlined in my episodes, such as relaxing or breathing techniques or the meditation videos I use. Develop affirmations. You can use the ones that I've created in my affirmation videos. Use a journal to record what you are experiencing. Eventually, you'll be able to use anxiety as cues and information. Become the neutral observer because you are choosing who you want to be and you are choosing who you are. Anxiety does not necessarily mean something is wrong with you. Instead of retreating and going back to the familiar ways of living or reacting because you're feeling anxious, realize that the anxiety is normal. It is because you are in the gap. Then, to the extent that you can, ride out the stress, but quickly continue forward and begin to live in the world in terms of your new vision. Develop the habit of using the tools that allow you to ride through the anxiety. It bears repeating that you will never be free of all the anxiety, but you do not have to create more anxiety by reacting to it. Realize that anxiety is a sign that you are alive. The next time you are frightened, or you're plagued with frightening images or negative thoughts, consider the following formula. If you're frightened, examine your feeling and consider your objectives. Consider the possibility that you're not frightened, but you're only having frightening thoughts, which are normal, part of living in the gap. Being frightened is realizing that you are more alive than you were before you were taking that action and doing things that feel risky. It is part of becoming accustomed to living in the space between where you once were and where you want to be. Now that you understand this, you can switch these feelings from possible failure and fear to reflect excitement and commitment. It is important to remember that part of the issue is your experiences have been problematic because of your interpretations. Your interpretations are problematic not because of reality, but because they are built around these filters, beliefs, or life principles that you use as the frame of reference from which you once viewed the world. If you can grasp this idea of how your interpretations influence your perspective and your feelings, you can change them. Change how you interpret things to create positive images about your experiences instead of negative images. And then your feelings and reactions will empower you and not incapacitate you. You have the ability to distinguish between facts and interpretations. You are designed to deal with facts and reality, and the problem for all of us is that our memories are so powerful. We believe that our memories are facts and reality. Our memories, however, are based on our interpretations. They are not facts. They are an elaborate conceptual scheme based in part on some distressing experience that we had in our childhood. These events and interpretations color our interpretation of reality. We create our reality, but we also interpret the reality that we're in. And the interpretation of our reality is just as important as our creation of it. So if you practice distinguishing between facts, your bodily responses, your emotional responses, your interpretations, and your beliefs, your life principles, your filters, and then create a new set of life principles, beliefs, and filters. Particularly if you can create a large enough frame, you can see difficult situations as really being opportunities for growth and activity. Once you have gone through this process of reframing these filters and beliefs from our past, and you understand that you have to take some actions that move you into this gap, and you can neutrally observe what's happening and interpret them properly, then you can choose who you are. And the potentials are unlimited for you. You are whoever you choose to be. You are not your past. You can find all episodes of The Reality Revolution at therealityrevolution.com. I'd love it if you checked out my art. You can find it at www.newearth.art. And welcome to The Reality Revolution.